The movement control order has proven hard for everyone, but especially students who have lost almost a year of school. Education technology or EdTech industries have stepped up during the crisis, offering online education resources at our fingertips. But are they sufficient to help students stay ahead? Here with us today is Dr. Darren Gouk, Director and Founder of My AOne Learning Malaysia, to discuss about the challenges the industry faces and how they can effectively assist students moving forward. Hello, Dr. Darren. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We are here to talk about education technology, or EdTech, which has proven to be an important tool in bridging the gap in education, especially during the pandemic. Now that we are already in our second MCO, how has the EdTech industry changed during the pandemic? Can online education really replace schools?
Even before COVID-19, there was already a high growth and adoption in education technology, EdTech space, with global EdTech investment reaching about $18 billion in 2019. So whether it's a language apps, virtual tutoring, video conferencing tools, and online learning software, there has been a significant surge in usage since the pandemic. While in Malaysia, online learning was always seen as the future of education. During the first MCO that happened last year, we saw educators panic as they had to learn how to utilize various online platforms, convert their worksheets to online, adapting new ways of teaching, maintaining student engagement during online classes. On the other hand, students and parents also not get used to the online education. They face a lot of challenges with shorter attention span of younger children and many more. But currently, as we are in the MCO 2.0, I believe both educators and students have a better idea on what to expect as schools remain closed. The awareness of EdTech has definitely surged tremendously over the year. Previously, e-learning was a new way of teaching and educating students, but now it's the only progressive method that can use in light of the current situation. So I believe the online education will not replace school as a whole, but will continue to be a major component of school, even during the post-COVID era.
I agree. Now is definitely the time to explore different approaches. So the internet is a vortex of information and resources. With the abundance of educational resources online, which are readily available, some of which are free even, how do EdTech industry differentiate themselves from the rest?
When we mention about education technology, it's not only about the e-content. EdTech is a practice of introducing tools powered by technology into the classroom so they can create a more engaging, inclusive, and individualized learning experience. So perhaps we can separate into three phases. The phase one is the e-content that we mentioned. Phase two is a full learning experience with much greater interactivity. And phase three is a highly personalized learning experience. So how EdTech can differentiate themselves, especially compared to the free resources, that is how they can actually package these three phases through the technology to ensure the efficiency of education. So give you an example, like a student who is learning online and doing an e-worksheet and has strength and weakness mapped through their performance tracking, and hence the subsequent worksheet is automated based on the student levels and needs. So technology can customize the pace of learning of each student.
On that note, with the pandemic still ongoing, has it provided positive growth for EdTech industry or your company specifically?
Yes, of course. Taking AOne as an example, we actually provide a management system for school, for educators, for learning centers in Malaysia and regional cities to help them to automate the lesson fee collection and many more operation work. So last year, we observed some of the interesting trends in educators using our digital solutions. As most of the education business, you know, they need to shut down their physical classes. Within our expectation, we see a dropping of some metrics of the feature in our app, like number of class scheduled, number of student attendance taken, number of the revenue of this education business also dropping. However, we see a surge of the percentage of the lesson fee transacted in the app. So out of the around 45 million ringgit Malaysia that lesson fee receipt processed through our application, there are about 10%, actually about 4 million ringgit Malaysia lesson fee actually transacted in the app. So way to go for cashless payment. So we'll see a lot of the example also like online whiteboard tools, lesson management system, e-learning content providers, and many more gain a lot of traction during the pandemic. So digitalization is no longer something that is good to have, but now it's now a necessity.
Yes, it's definitely a step in the right direction, I agree. However, we've seen some of the impacts of COVID-19, especially in widening the gap in education. When we talk about access to internet, especially in rural, or lack of access of internet, especially in rural areas, how do edtech industries bridge this gap?
I think firstly, even before COVID-19, there is already a big gap in education inequality in more rural areas compared to urban cities. Some schools do not even have a proper classroom and depends on like a generator of electricity. So such condition are worsened when we take into account the need of internet access or smartphones or tablets for students to learn during the MCO. And we have heard and seen stories that how students need to trek through the jungle just to find a better Wi-Fi connection. So I believe this is actually everyone plays their part. It's not about only EdTech. We need to treat the reliable internet connection as important as running electricity and water. So to move forward as a whole nation, not neglecting on the rural areas, all parties, whether it's a government, corporate, SME, NGO, must lend a helping hand to contribute to a more advanced and sustainable course. While for EdTech, what we can do is to minimize the gap to provide some of the free online education content for those that need right now, especially for those that prepare for SPM examination, online education. And we also see a lot of companies that giving back to the society during these tough times to give a lot of free resources on the e-content. So, and also EdTech is actually relatively cheaper to introduce, to implement to rural areas compared to physical facilities that you want to build a school and many others. And also the student actually can learn from anywhere in throughout the Malaysia, and even they get the e-content worldwide.
Yeah, it's good to have sort of variable platforms, many platforms that can help the students, especially in times of crisis. However, access of technology aside, while there are already many people, many students and teachers who are adopting online learning since the MCO started, there are still a group of people who are resistant to change. So how do you attract these people?
Okay, let's compare like MCO 1.0 and MCO 2.0. And during the last year, a lot of parents and students are having the mindset that the online learning is a temporary measure. We'll go through the pandemic together, everything will back to norm in few months at most. However, as we come to where we are today, during MCO 2.0, especially when the COVID cases surge to a record high, parents and students understand and accept the fact that online learning is the only progressive method that can use in light of the current situation, especially like those prepared for exam like SPM and stuff. Education can't stop, and being parents, they are more concerned about children learning progress than the method of the education being delivered. So that's why this year we see a lot of parents actually looking for online classes. Some of them, they still even prefer online classes because due to the flexibility of the time management compared to the offline lesson. And some of the tuition centers, they actually fully go online, teaching 1,000 students nationwide. You never see this before in the past years. So this is one of the advantages of having online classes. So a student from Perlis actually can get enroll a class in Johor and even to East Malaysia. So in general, we see there's less resistance from the both side educator and teacher for online education. But for those that still the minority are still have their reservation, consistent awareness from the edtech industry and a drive from the school and the government are the key for them to adapt in the near future.
Definitely, knowledge and awareness are definitely key in this area, I feel. So, last but not least, moving forward, what are some advice you can give to those who would like to venture into edtech industry?
Okay. Number one, you need to do some research. You need to do your research well and understand the education sector. You need to understand who are your customer, who is the market how the market is evolving, and what need you are addressing. Education market can be very complex. So you have to prepare to localize your solution into different segments or even in different countries if you are building a global solution. Number two, don't build just me too products. We should not create products that are solving already solved problems and trying to reinvent the wheel. We should stay innovative, but also solve the real problems. And last but not least is you need to validate your product and business models. You need to get users, get people to pay for your services, pay for your solution. Without a deep understanding of pricing and different AdTech business models, new company will never see a cent in profit.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Darren, for your time and for all your input. With EdTech industry, the future of the younger generation definitely looks brighter. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome.